You know, I think we're ready to get started.
All right, then.
Okay.
So now's the time to ask all the questions that we should have asked earlier.
Yes.
Yep. So where we're going to be getting started is you guys, well, reiteration of where we're starting. You guys are about to lead a convoy of 5 ships out to colonize the continent. You guys have been picked as the leaders collectively, so no one individual is the leader, and likewise, well, I guess you're all at the same priority is what I'm saying.
All right.
Backgrounds at this point, they mean for your proficiencies only, everyone's equal on the new continent. So with that in mind, you guys are at a last dinner celebrating your send-off. You guys are the 8th ship that has gone off with roughly, I think it's 50 years between ships, so 400 years of sending ships over. As of yet, no one has ever returned. Your mission is to go out there, establish a beachhead, a city, find a way to get a ship back to them. If you fail, hold tight, there'll be another ship in 50 years.
That's a good thing I'm in health.
Yep, and then with that, reminder, short rests are 8 hours. Long rests are a week. So,
DnD nightmare mode.
yeah.
No wonder I feel so exhausted during my meal time. Long rests are a week.
So, we're going to go ahead and cut in to you guys in what's a lively tavern environment. It sprawls out into the outside of one of the major cities of the port. Your 5 ships have been set up and being loaded all day. You guys have been making preparations, reviewing. Everything appears to be in order. You guys have at least 5 months worth of supplies as soon as you land for what is a colony force of about 500 people, 100 per boat. One of the noble houses, House Oris, is actually accompanying you all on your flagship. They're a mercantile house with the intent that they are going to be setting up a trade empire there. So, you all are seated at the table. It's kind of raised up, almost imagine wedding-like, where it's raised up and everyone's kind of seated around you. There's various toasts being given, and you have the Master of Ceremonies seated in between, well, right now it's the 5 of you, but the 6 of you. One of you is very much interested in your food and hasn't arrived yet. So, Master of Ceremonies, tall human, 6 feet, he just kind of turns over. Most of the ceremony's done. Are there any questions you had for him going into this? He understands that you're doing an undertaking that, in all likelihood, and by the statistics they've seen thus far, means that you're going to be dead.
I take another sip of my mug I have. But I'm relatively jolly.
That
I have
reminds
no
me,
question.
you said the current season was spring, right?
Yes. You guys, because of the weather patterns, you are departing in the first week of spring.
Right.
In what is expected to be a probably 4-week journey across.
Right. I just wanted to make sure, because as an Eldred, my appearance and attitude can change depending on the season.
That is true.
Now, you're saying questions for the...
Master of Ceremonies, he's been the one who's also been prepping your adventure. So he's the one who has the knowledge of your entire setup.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask him, once we make landfall, good master of ceremonies, what is it you will have us do while the rest are establishing a foothold?
He shrugs his shoulders and says, well, you have the same, what do they call? Charter, there we go. You have the same charter that the others have been sent out with. We're sending you over to Colony's Landing. We don't know if there's anything there. We know that the last 3 ships were sent to that location. they had changed up where on the continent they were sending people after, well, no one returned. But as the first 4 went to the first location, you guys are the last of the second set of 4 to go to this location. As soon as you guys can get a ship back to them, even if that is your first priority before you've got a settlement down, just somehow get word back to them so that they know you made it.
Okay. And they're going to be on the fleet behind us, or just
the Master of Ceremonies will be remaining here. You guys will have 5 ships at your disposal. These are large cargo passenger ships constructed specifically for this purpose.
Okay.
They've traveled, they've done it, you guys with them have done a tour of the various islands where people are settled on. And when I say islands, we're talking islands the size of maybe California. Relatively large with their own distinct climates and cultures. But you guys have been on a grand tour introducing yourselves to everyone. And these ships are very much seaworthy.
Okay. Any information he has about the landing point itself?
He knows there is as you guys are sailing west, there is a large mountain range that rings the western coast of the continent. There's survey ships which had stayed out and surveyed with magnification equipment like telescopes. They had determined that there in all likelihood was a pass at this location. However, they haven't sent a survey ship out in 200 plus years because of the dangers involved. Because while these islands have wildlife similar to what you would find here on Earth, and what you would, even some of the extinct species here you would still expect to see, the continent has shown no signs of having the same wildlife, in that ships have been attacked by quote-unquote sea dragons and beasts of monstrous proportion.
Lovely.
That's all my questions. I settle in, eat some more food.
Yep, he nods.
My character's during springs tends to be pretty carefree and happy, so I don't have questions. I need food.
Galan, the bars are open to you tonight for this celebration.
All right. I appreciate that, sir. And I will go and get a lot of drinks.
All right.
This is information that I would probably already know by this point.
Yep.
But I'm just curious as to what sort of preparations there are for putting down roots, literally.
Yes.
I
You guys
assume that there is seed for.
You guys are bringing
board.
not so. You have enough to set up a small village in terms of materials, but the bulk of your materials are in foodstuffs, waterstuffs, and in tools. So that once you're there and set up, you'll be able to dig in and get actively interacting with the environment around you. With there being a mountain, they anticipate no shortage of stone.
Yeah.
With there being forests that have been seen in the area, they expect no shortage of trees.
Mm-hmm.
But with that in mind, they're like, well, we don't know what hunting's going to be like. Whether you're defending yourself or, oh, look, there's a rabbit. I'm going to go eat it.
That's why I was curious. Do we have specific seed for
you guys do have seed for farms.
Okay.
More than would be required to support your population, as the goal, he describes, would be once they get the ship back, more than likely people will begin migrating over as the islands themselves are heavily urbanized. And part of the reason these voyages exist is we need land to expand to and resources, and that land has both.
Yeah.
And if you don't come back, well, that's mouse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Anyone else?
Well, I'm getting drunk, so no.
Yeah. Alright, I don't think anyone else has any questions for him. We can
All right.
do character interaction or something like that.
Yeah, no, if you guys have any interaction you want to do among yourselves, any info you want to get from various other PCs here at the table, now is your time to do so, as you are left to your own devices for the remainder of the night.
Alright. What I need a kind of better description of the room. What are the people like? Are they a mix of races?
Oh, it's a complete mix of races. If it's in a book that has been published and is a major source book, it's here. Loxodons, Tabaxi, humans, elves, dwarves.
Okay. Is everyone pretty much merriment partying?
It's very much merriment. Now that it's begun to get later in the evening, there's been a dance floor. Various bards are strumming up tunes, and people are engaging in various dances, drinking contests.
Okay. I guess I'll go over to the bards and see what kind of notes they play.
It's a decent song. I mean, you wouldn't consider them wonderful bards, but they're not making fools of themselves.
They've been into the bar.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Anything else that anyone wanted to do before you guys call it a night?
Drink some more.
All right.
Food.
So,
I guess I'd say hi to a few of my acquaintances and stuff like that.
say families, should they be alive and wanting to be present, would be here.
Mm-hmm.
But all those goodbyes would now have been said. You guys retire to the living quarters of the tavern, which normally would be servicing people who are in trade, but the entire building has been reserved for those of you who are embarking on this adventure. So, you guys spend the night. Let me actually get a counter going so that I know where we are at in the week. Day 1, completed. Day 2, begin. So, you guys are woken up before sunrise. Half as much by, I know I'm ready to go, but as versus them knocking on the doors and finally confirming it's time to go. One by one, the ships are loaded. The non-flagship, the ones that you guys aren't on, are assembled, loaded first, and kind of sail out into the water and begin to do a pacing. As then you guys are all loaded up. Everything had really been loaded beforehand, so it's just personal effects gear that you have on your person that is being loaded. And before long, everyone is on deck, waving as you guys are beginning to sail out from the sound that leads out into the open ocean waters.
I'm going to play a little tune
Okay.
on the flute, a sailing tune.
Go ahead and give me a performance check.
Okay. Performance 10.
All right. It's passable. It's about as good as the bards were. You're a bard. But yeah, the wind is it does some things with your flute, but hey, some of them are good. You're like, I might try to imitate that in the future. But all in all, there is much fanfare, and before long, land is no longer in sight. The eastern winds carrying you guys with your ships in formation out into the ocean. That said, we were keeping track of it. However, it is a 4 or 5 week journey. So, of course, I've misplaced my writing utensil.
There are plenty of in front of you.
Pass one over, please. I will be keeping track of our weeks here. After 2 weeks, there's a bit of a storm. Overall, nothing the ships can't handle. We go through to the 5th week. We are on the 5th day of the 5th week. And land is sighted. When I say land is sighted, it's the person up in the crow's nest saying, hey, way over there is land. I have seen a mountain ridge.
I'm going to get up on deck, head toward the front of the ship, and kind of just be on the railing.
Yep. Where do the rest of you want to be?
I assume we.
Or what are you doing? Oh yeah, there is a stir going through the ship. The deck is actually beginning to get very crowded as everyone boxed up for 4 weeks on sea rations is finally like, hey, I want to see it. I'm sick and tired of this back and forth, and we had a storm, but yeah, no, I'm ready for land.
I'm going to get up close to the front of the ship as possible.
Okay.
I'll maybe climb up on one of the poles to get a better view.
Okay. So up in the rigging.
Just kind of step on deck wherever I can fit.
Yep. Fitting in with the crowd.
I'm probably continuing to make rounds on throughout the ship, checking cargo.
Yep.
Basically, wherever everybody else is not, that's
Okay.
where I'm at. Not necessarily because of antisocial, but I'm always looking for things going on behind the scenes when people are distracted.
That makes sense. All right. I want everyone on deck. Fish with advantage. Roll perception.
Oh, with advantage?
Her with advantage because she is up higher.
That is a, you said perception?
Correct.
Modified 20.
18.
6.
19.
All right. So 15's plus 1. Who else had it? So 2, 3. Okay. So you guys begin to see. So the way you're familiar with how ocean waves work, where it's wave after wave after wave. What you're beginning to see is waves kind of going in one direction, and another kind of wave just crossing it, forming a diamond pattern in the sea ahead of you. Still, the ships proceed forward. Did we have any 20 pluses?
I had a modified 20.
Modified 20. You would also see just kind of little spurts coming up from the water. Just like a little bit of water just geysering up, maybe just inch or two, but happening just here, there, and the other. Almost as if a raindrop had been dropped, but it's clear skies, there's no rain.
So it's kind of spouting out a little bit from the diamond-shaped area.
Yeah, from inside the diamond-shaped areas, and each diamond is only about 10 feet long by maybe 5 feet wide, just how the waves are crossing.
Who's steering the ship?
That would be the captain in the rear.
Would I be able to see him from where I am?
No, yeah.
About how far would you say he is, and how many
He's
people are-
the full length of the ship, and deck's pretty crowded, so you've got almost the full 100 people between you and him. And you've got maybe 150 feet of travel to get to him.
All right. From where I am, how far does the people go towards him?
I don't think I understand the question.
As an Eldrin, I have phase step, so once per short or long rest, I could magically teleport up to 30 feet. So
you'd be able to see a spot to step to, yes.
I'd like to use my phase step to
go
over there and then start heading toward the person steering the ship to inform them of the diamond-shaped areas and the water kind of spurting up from it.
Okay. You do that. It only takes you about 20, 30 seconds to get there. You're not rushing, running, but also it's not that far of a distance to just hop a fifth of it and then just stroll.
Do I notice him, like...
Oh yeah, you guys would notice that he's beelining the captain. Anyone on the deck would notice that.
I know
But
you're excited, why?
And do another
Well, we
perception
don't
check.
know
So
what
I'm like,
the,
what did he see? That he needs
yeah,
to
go
be
ahead and roll with
captain?
advantage again, because you're starting to...
What?
What does he do?
I have.
That is a 22.
22. You are also now able to see it from up there.
Anyone else seeing that?
Over here.
Comes the cry from up in the rigging. The captain, kind of seeing you approach him, seeing that, kind of looks back at you, going, Galen, what did you see?
There was several diamond-shaped areas in the water with some water spurting up from it.
Odd.
I have no idea what that is, so I figured I'd come inform you.
Roll nature check.
Modified 20.
It's not a natural phenomenon.
It's definitely not a natural
And you're
phenomenon.
diamond-shaped waves can be, but with the other stuff going on, usually there's some sort of environmental hazard that would cause that. That hazard does not appear to be present.
That's sweet.
He kind of nods, and we'll fan our ships out, and you see him just kind of nod over to one of his assistants, who immediately just kind of picks up some flags and starts signaling to the other ships, and they kind of pull out into an abreast formation to proceed through.
After I let him know about that, I'd like to attempt to head towards as close as I could get to the front.
Okay. Yeah, you begin walking up because your ship slows down. They kind of cut the sails a little bit to allow for people to begin catching up with the other ships. And they begin to approach abreast. At this point, all on deck, you kind of hear like a murmuring as everyone kind of notices it at the same time. A fog begins rising from the water. And 10 seconds or more, and you can't see the other ships.
I didn't do it.
Almost called you elf here. Sprout, I need you to roll me a perception check.
Okay. That is 21.
You hear kind of loudly, just kind of a on the hull of the boat. And then not only do you hear like the one loud tapping that would be somewhere within 5 feet of you, you hear from elsewhere around the boat just tapping coming from different spots on the hull. Erratic but methodical.
Can I tell if it's a creature trying to interact or somebody if there's something else
Something is
tapping?
something on the outside is tapping on the hull. That is what you're able to discern.
Can't really tell if it's just making noise or trying to get in.
The taps aren't moving. So whatever is tapping in the same location repeatedly.
Okay.
At this point, you also begin to hear a murmur rising and people getting like, what's going on? Hey, I can't see the ship. Where are the other ships? And a fair number of people are actually starting to go back below decks now.
Okay, can I try and produce a high-pitch sound that I'd be able to carry through the fog?
Using your flute? Sure.
Yeah.
Roll me a performance check.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. You hit the right note, and you hear it pierce through the fog.
I'm trying to give a signal to other ships, we are here, we are
I
here.
try to climb up to as far up the rigging as I can to see if I can get above the fog, or is it all the way over?
So the fog did rise. You can kind of, as you get up to the top, you can kind of see it didn't quite cover the tips of the mast.
Just see them going.
You can see the other masts moving, but at this point you are above the crow's nest. As a tabaxi, you've got the claws. You've locked onto the mast. You're a cat at the top of a telephone pole.
Have fun getting down.
I need to
I'm just
fire
going to
them.
be doing that
Yeah, I'd say
methodically.
before long you start to hear, while there's not a bard assigned to each, there are signalers assigned to each, and they begin almost with makeshift drums, but at one point the drum will sound real close to you, and then it'll sound far away. Then there'll be one that's maybe you hear a drum in the distance, almost as if the fog itself is distorting the sound. Jenna, you would see the furthest most ship. There is a large blue, the fog, which is white, is turning blue and is rapidly approaching that ship, the furthest ship in the line. So if it's, you guys are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 5.
So yell down. There's some kind of blue fog going up to. I don't know if the ships were named. But...
Roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh boy.
It's the closest thing I can have to a yelling check.
Okay. Oh, 19.
19. You get a fully throated tabaxi yell and scream down. Yes. Everyone on the deck can hear her.
Is there a signal that I would have heard in the 5 weeks of travel for each individual ship? Like, is that a certain signal thing?
Each ship would have its own signal, yes. Audio, not really. Typically, they communicate via flags. But, yeah, it would be flag signals. Not so much a name that would be conveyed via music.
Okay, I'm going to try and play a frenzy panicked tune. Like, just to kind of give them an alert.
So you're making our own soundtrack.
Yes.
Yep.
I guess another performance.
Go ahead and give me a performance, yeah.
Natural 1.
Symphony number 9 in Scared Minor.
I swallow my flute.
Yeah, I was going to say, the reed in your flute. Well, no. Yeah, they are a reed.
Yes, I think so.
Yes. Flutes are not a reed instrument?
Sorry.
Should have played clarinet. So as you start blowing, you're not sure what it is. It's almost as you were blowing, the fog itself has gotten in there, and the notes that you're trying to press aren't the notes that are responding, and the flute itself almost appears to be fouled. At this point, everyone on the deck roll me perception.
Would I still be technically deck?
No.
Yeah.
15.
15's plus. And then, again, I almost want to say Elfir. Sprout.
Played Elfir for over a year, so...
Yeah. Sprout and anyone 15 plus on the deck now begins to hear the sound of wood splintering from below deck.
It's ridiculous and probably not going to help. But I will be trying to call out and trying to basically just like yelling hello and trying to communicate with whatever's out there as if it's a beast that would at least be able to understand me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know if there's a whale or a shark or something attacking the boat or what, but I'm just trying to say something.
Jenna, at this point, the third mast disappears.
All the others still there?
1, 2, 4, and 5 are still there. The third mast disappears.
Like the third mast on
As
the
in, you
ship,
see it.
or the
Well,
third
she can
ship?
see the main mast of each of the ships. The ship that is third in line, you see it go down out of view, falling backwards.
Ship 3 has disappeared! Con save.
Roll me a...
A yell check.
No, we're going to roll for something else. A knowledge... Just a straight intelligence roll, because it's technically knowledge vehicles.
Knowledge or intelligence.
Yep.
That's 6.
Okay, so you don't have any special knowledge about that. But you know the ship's still gone.
Mast disappeared!
Yep, you yell that down. Go ahead and give me the con saving throw now.
Better. That's a 14.
Yep, they kind of they don't get word for word, but anyone on the deck kind of is able to piece together what you said. The civilians on the deck are now just like, we can kind of hear splintering and ship 3 is gone?
Something's happening below deck. Someone go down and check it out. I'm saying that to anyone that probably any of these guys are
say the
close to
captain
me.
I'm already
immediately...
down there.
The captain is taking charge and he's ordering all civilians back to quarters. That would not include you guys.
Right. At this point, my rapier's up.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask if we would have had our weapons at this time, or would we
You would
leave
have,
them wherever
if it is
we're
a weapon
sleeping?
you would carry as a sidearm, yes, you would have it. That includes swords, daggers, one-handed weapons.
Okay, so I'd have, like, say, my rapier and dagger.
Yes. But if you had like a great axe, you would have been like, land is here, let me grab my great axe over my shoulder and stroll up to see where everyone is.
Us.
Yeah.
Well, since I have my weapons, I will go below deck and follow wherever the captain's going.
The captain is staying on deck.
Oh, I thought
He
he was
is the-
going under the deck.
He is ordering the civilians to quarters.
Okay.
There are various shipmen who appear to be grabbing spears and various things that would be considered like whaling and fishing equipment, but could be used as weapons. As they're like, we're not sure what's going on, but let's get weapons to deck. So there's about 10 other armed individuals on the boat at this point.
Well, since you said that I heard wood splintering from below deck earlier, correct?
Well, at this point, you're at the front of the boat.
That's true.
That was
A
my
cool.
question. Am I hearing the splintering? You said I was hearing the splintering.
Yes.
Is it from our boat that I'm hearing it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be looking for wherever that sound's coming.
Yeah.
And
As you on the front of the boat, so you know there's one within 5 feet underneath you. You immediately notice, being at the front of the boat, being able to look down, that the boat immediately starts listing.
I'm there too as well.
Oh, front, then yes. You would also see that the boat is now, when I say listing, I'm meaning it's turning. It is beginning to no longer sail straight.
And I can see that this is not any effort by this.
You kind of look back, and the captain appears to be, he's fighting the wheel, but he's not turning the wheel.
Okay.
Right, so something's probably like carrying us.
Pushing.
Yeah.
Can I use my intelligence trying to figure out why we might be
Go for
listing?
it. Yeah.
No, 5.
You don't really know. I say it's a DC 10 check if you also could roll it.
All right.
As you would.
You said intelligence?
Yep.
That'd be a 12.
The motion is consistent with the rudder of the ship turning you. The wheel controls the rudder. The wheel is not turning.
And the rudder's at the back of the ship. I'm going to try to head towards the back of the ship. And
just like
see if I could
running back and forth.
look over and see if I could see if
Yep.
there's anything on the rudder or something like that.
Okay. You're below deck, so you've identified kind of where one of the splintering is coming from.
Okay. Point being, if I can see where there's damage coming through,
Whatever it is hasn't breached the hull yet.
Okay.
But with
if that
effort,
ever becomes an issue,
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to fix it with mending if I can.
Okay.
That's where his mind's at. Like, if something's breaking through, I can at least maybe
Yeah.
Some
patch holes.
rapid fire
Mhm.
mendings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to help if it comes up. It probably won't.
All right. He's running back to the rudder. What are the other two of you doing?
Can I see anything in the water from it, or is it just...
Give me a perception check.
Alright. 14.
You look down. The fog makes it hard to see the water as it is, but you are able to kind of make out the water. You don't see anything in it. No swimming, no creatures. It's water and fog.
Okay. I'm staying.
Yep. All right. At this point, you're running back to the back, kind of looking back at the rudder. Captain, what are you doing?
I'm trying to see if there's anything on the rudder, because we started to turn and it looked like you weren't steering the wheel.
I'm not steering the wheel. We shouldn't be turning.
I'm trying to see if I can see anything on the rudder that would cause us to turn.
You're not going to see the rudder over here. He turns to one of, his signaler, who is also, he does some of the maintenance on the boat. Signaler kind of nods and begins fastening a rope around his waist. He's going to lower himself over the side to see if there's anything fouling the rudder.
R.I.P.
At this point, you see what is almost that blue fog begin to just kind of swirl almost tornado-like around the fifth mast, and the fifth mast disappears. What's worse, you see bits of boat flying up. As in, there's a bit of a handrail that's up here now.
Someone just took out boat 5.
Go ahead and roll a...
Could we hear
The 12.
the boat breaking at all?
The boat, you still... What did you have?
12.
12? Something happened to boat 5. What you guys can hear you can't hear the other boats breaking up. You can barely hear some of the drum beats, although there are noticeably less of those.
It's mainly just we hear our.
You hear your boat with
party whips.
Oh yeah.
ticking, 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 ticking. At this point, check the guy getting over. Perception. Yeah, no. You guys already know R.I.P. Yeah, he goes over, and very shortly you hear screams. The rope is quickly withdrawn, and you see... you're in the back of the boat. Go ahead and give me a survival roll.
Oh boy. 5.
The rope's cut. You don't gain any extra info about that. But the rope itself has been cut.
The captain cut.
The captain looks at you and goes, "I saw that." You see him quickly just yelling orders, and what you can see of the sails, they're all being let down. Just hey, we're getting out of this. We were going to try to keep in formation, but nope. The equivalent of pedal to the metal.
Is there a cadence for like full sail and like sound like the do on ships?
There would be a full sail signal, yes. Usually it'd be used in storms, but this is kinda.
I'm going to go ahead and try and sim that as long as I can.
Performance?
Please, yes. 23.
Yep. As you start, you realize that playing is requiring more effort, but it's still possible. You're needing to increase the airflow for the flute to actually hit the right notes, and that seems to unfoul the various keys, but it cuts through, all clear. You would be able to see ship 2 has gone to full sail as well. At this point, you see the blue mist begin to go green and engulf ship 4.
Sun's out to ship 4. That's a 18.
18, they can still hear you. Sprout, you do see that the wood is beginning to splinter and water is beginning to seep into your ship.
Do what now? Sorry.
Water is beginning to seep into your ship, and you are seeing splinters.
Okay, I'm gonna try to fix it.
All right, your mending is working at counteracting. You also see, like, some of your first signs, you see almost like a rock jut up through, get withdrawn, jut up through, get withdrawn.
Stab, stab, stab.
Yes, stab, stab, stab.
Just ask him nicely and often if he can please stop.
And it's just like a rock that's coming up?
A rock spike, I mean, it's only a little bit of a tip that's getting through. You're seeing something that's smaller than a dime cut through.
Oh, okay.
That's not too bad.
And then as you're mending, it's like, oh, he just cut through and did some damage. Patched. Mending, mending, mending. Every 6 seconds, mending, mending. At this point, you can kind of hear the rushing of water from different sections of your ship.
Oh, I hope you know how to swim.
I'll sink last.
Dexterity saving throw. You're up on the front.
Natural 1.
So you're kind of just peering out, looking like there's got to be something out here. There's got to be something out here. And before long, you are tackled laying on your back on the deck. Above you is a creature that appears to have 4 arms, looks vaguely elf-like, long pointed ears, appears to have some sort of crude spear with a black stone tip. And you see, anyone else on the deck can also see about 5 of these creatures board the ship.
Right around me, probably.
One of them boarded the front and kind of was like, oh, look, pinned.
Don't worry, you can seduce him.
Roll initiative.
He's got you pinned.
Everyone can roll initiative at this point.
Oh, jeez.
Though your initiative rolls may end up not doing anything.
That is the
15.
7.
8. 1.
All right. Fish, you can hear a commotion beginning on the deck below you.
I start to climb down.
All right.
At least to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to get, the masts are only about 60 feet high, so you're able to get halfway down. You can see the various creatures. At the end of your move, you can see various creatures on the deck, one of them standing over thy bard.
I think how far I am up, because...
About 30 feet up at this point.
She's already identified me as property.
I wonder if I can shoot one with a hand crossbow.
All right. Which one do you want to hit? 2 have boarded port, 2 have boarded port, 2 have boarded starboard, and 1 is on the bow.
I'm trying to remember which ones those are.
Port is left, starboard is right.
I know I'm not wanting to risk rolling a 1 and getting you instead. So
That's never happened in our games.
there's one that's on the.
All right, one of the other boarding ones, go for it.
Alright. That is. Oh, I realized I wrote this wrong, but so give me a second to figure this out. And crossbow should be dex, so.
Yep.
So 15.
15 hits.
That is 6. Max damage, that is 9 damage.
9? Alright. I figured out why there's no one watching a stream. Because I left it on test mode.
Oh.